You're back on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. It's me, Tony B. This is our special impact of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities special. Joining us, hopefully, will be Lauren Truscott, who is a public information officer with the Seattle Police Department. We knew that this might be an issue because today is May Day and there may be some things that are happening or going on. And so we've been in contact, and we should be having Lauren join us here very shortly. But in the interim, I'll tell you a little bit more about Rainier Avenue Radio .world. We are South Seattle's community radio station. And here, let me give you the official spiel here. Rainier Avenue Radio is your community radio station and digital media hub. We're proud to serve Greater Seattle with opportunities to engage with critical issues, compelling stories, and quality entertainment. When you listen to Rainier Avenue Radio, you're going to hear music, you'll hear sports, you'll hear traffic, you'll hear local and national news, talk shows including political, current events. You hear shows in different languages. We have youth programming, children's programming, and our youth programming is created by other youth. All of our programs, most of them, are created by members of our communities. We have over 70 programs that are created by members of our community. We also broadcast live from a number of different community events. Well, we haven't done that in a while because of the lockdown. We're 24/7 internet radio station and multimedia network, so you can always hear us on Rainier Avenue Radio .world if you go to our website and just click listen. You can also pick us up on the TuneIn app, and we have our own app. We have a Rainier Avenue Radio app, and you can get it at the Google Play Store, at the Apple Store. Just go on there and search Rainier Avenue Radio. You can download our app for free, and look, that makes it real easy. Basically, just one click, and you're either listening to us, or you can watch us as well if we're doing our video broadcast, like we are right now on our Facebook page via Zoom. So, or you can use Alexa as well. You can just tell Alexa to go into Rainier Avenue Radio, and Alexa will do that for you. This is our special. This started for us on March 13th. So it was shortly after the stay-at-home mandate. Well, initially, there was the, folks can't gather in crowds of 250, and then it was reduced to 50, and then it was reduced to 10, and then it was just stay at home. We immediately went on the air on March 13th because we knew that our community was going to have special circumstances. We have a very diverse community here in South Seattle. Over 70 different languages spoken, a number of different ethnicities, cultures. If you prescribe to this thing called race, which doesn't actually exist, but it has to now for the purposes of where we've positioned ourselves as a society, many different races. There were going to be some special circumstances, and a lot of folks in our community who were probably going to fall through the cracks when it came to making sure that this thing called equitable services were provided. And so we initially launched on the 13th, talking to members of our community and sharing with you how our community was already impacted. Candace Jackson from the King County Health Department came on and began to tell us at that point where we were at. And if you go back and listen to that first show that we did, and you listen to, I think, Daniel, probably 25, 30 shows at this point that we've done on the coronavirus, you get kind of a chronological update of how this thing unfolded in South Seattle and surrounding communities and other areas. One of the things that we noticed was that it didn't matter what community you were in, you were probably going to be subject to the same set of circumstances that other folks in other communities were. And so we began to connect with other folks in other communities around the area. We established partnerships in Kitsap County and Bremerton. We established partnerships in Snohomish County, Edmonds, in Pierce County, Tacoma, and Lacey. We reached out to Spokane, We have established partnerships in Yakima, and we just made sure that we got information and shared information, and that we kept our communities connected. Part of the reason why is folks were in isolation. And if you were in one of the what we now know vulnerable categories, aside from being having your immune system compromised, if you were a black or a brown person, there were disparities that were already in place before this happened that were going to systemically cause you to be impacted more by this. If you were poor, you're in the same situation. If you were in a marginalized community, or a member of a marginalized community, again, these are things that were probably going to stretch the concept of what equitable meant. And these folks were going to be on the bad side of that. One of the things that we heard about, if you listen earlier in our programming, was we talked to Deshaun Jackson from John Muir. And at that time, they were scrambling to figure out how they were going to deal with the situation, not of educating. That was out of the question at that point. The students who were no longer going to be in school, was feeding them. Public school system was ill-equipped to handle this, and place blame wherever you want to, but the public school system was ill-equipped to handle this. So we weren't talking about educating students who went to public schools. We were talking about feeding them. This was due to their equity policy. So check out their equity policy. Again, when you talk about equity these days, what that looks like and what that means, there are many different understandings of that word. So I think joining us on the phone now is Lauren Truscott. Lauren, on Zoom. Lauren, are you there? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
All right. Okay, Lauren, we do have you now. Well, welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast.
I'm so sorry for being late. I was getting pulled in 3 different directions. So my apologies.
Well, all right. We have you here now. And so you are, am I getting this title right? Public Information Officer for the Seattle Police Department. Is that correct?
Correct.
And for you, this is at least for now, is this a fairly new position?
I've been in here less than 1 month. So yes, extremely new.
Okay. And you come into a very high profile, critical situation. Let's start with that. Jumping into, as a public information officer, the middle of a pandemic, what's that been like for you?
It has been really interesting because everything we are not living in a normal world. Everything that we normally focus on or are concerned about is touched by COVID-19. Going to calls, officers are thinking about, who can I can't get close to people. I have to wear protective gear. Being a public information officer, all of our stories are touched by COVID. There's businesses that are closed that have never been closed before. People are experiencing job loss. Children are not in school. So the population as a whole is just like nothing that we've ever seen before.
Okay, and I will have specific questions, but let's first take a big, broad question. How has COVID-19 and this pandemic impacted our Seattle Police Department?
We do a lot of things differently. Protective gear, we're carrying gloves, masks, N95, eye protection. We set up a testing site for first responders. We're doing voluntary temperature checks at every entrance of our police facilities to make sure people are healthy when they're coming to work. We have people who are working remotely from home for the first time, and we're doing a lot of virtual meetings, and we're relying very heavily on technology. A lot of reports that we used to respond to in person, we're taking over the phone or doing online. And it's very different. Normally, people that we would go out and engage with, community members or enforcement action, we're not able to have, we're social distancing and maybe not out and about as much as we would like to be. So it's been very unique. We don't have as many, we don't do the traditional roll calls anymore because we don't want to seat all of the officers in one room. So we're practicing social distancing in the precincts as much as we can as well.
Okay, and are there services at this particular time that you can share with us that there's an anticipation that this is going to happen from the police department? It's not going to happen. Has this impacted the police department in a way that there are things that you would normally get a response from, or things that you would normally have an expectation of, that due to the circumstances now have changed?
Not, I can't, broadly, they have not. There might be a few one-offs that do change. A call that we might have responded to take in person before. We might refer you to call in and make a report over the phone or to go online just to limit people's exposures. We have community service officers who we were just starting to roll out into the community. And we have a large volunteer pool of victim support teams, volunteers, and we have not been able to utilize any of their services in a traditional way. So that's been some services that have had to be cut back or utilized in a different way.
Can folks still walk into a police department?
They cannot. Thank you for pointing that out. All of our police facilities are closed. The lobbies are locked. They can call over the phone, and sometimes an officer, if available, will meet them outside to take a report. But we've shut all of our lobbies down.
And here's the big one. Folks will want to know if I need to call the police. Will there be any lag or any delay in response time because of this? And if there is, there is. If there's not, there's not. I mean, I know I'm not blaming you, but just again, in particular for our community members in South Seattle who, again, have different sets of circumstances. Will there be any difference that folks will see if you make a call to the police department and you're requesting that the police show up?
There should not be. The police might look different when they show up if they choose to wear a mask or eye protection and gloves. But we're actually fully staffed right now. Nobody's going on vacation because vacations have all been canceled. We're not doing any department training, so patrol officers are not missing their workday to attend training. So we actually have more people staffed right now than we would normally because people are not on vacation or in training.
And how has this impacted the police department health-wise? How many cases have there been? Have there been any deaths in the police department due to COVID-19?
Fortunately, in the Seattle Police Department, we have not had any deaths from COVID-19. We have had 7 positive cases. Not all of those have been officers. Some of those have been civilian members of our department. So for a department of our size, we feel very fortunate that we've only had 7 positive COVID cases, and all of those 7 people are back to work and healthy.
So for the entire Seattle Police Department, 7 cases. Was there an emergency plan in place for the police department to be prepared for something like this already?
I can't speak to what the plan was in place that they might have had in place before this impacted us. I just know that when this pandemic hit, the department was very quick to respond, utilizing our EMT, emergency medical technician officers who we have on the department, partnering with the fire department, contracting with a physician, and we were able to quickly stand up some first responder test site and make a plan for what are we going to do when people are infected, what are we going to do for their family members, how are we going to get them back to work, how is that going to impact our staffing, that type of stuff.
Now, you may or may not have this information, but has there been an uptick in crime since the coronavirus began? Have crimes, because of the stay-at-home order, been decreasing, or do we just not know because everyone's at home and we don't know what's going on in folks' homes?
Uh, all of the above. And I don't know the specific numbers, but things just look very different than what they did normally. Folks are at home and they're not at work. And so I will say that we did have a uptick in domestic violence calls. Initially, we had an uptick in commercial burglaries because businesses were operating on limited hours, and some of them are just closed right now. So those appear to be going down. The domestic violence, we are actively watching and making sure that we are offering services to, because for a lot of people, home is not a safe place to be, unfortunately. And so we are very cognizant of that and trying to reach out to people and make those connections.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was going to say that staying at home doesn't work for everybody. I'm not judging why people don't stay at home. That's not
Mhm.
my place. I'm sure that there are enough people out there who do that. But we know that folks don't just stay at home. And as a matter of fact, for whatever reason, sometimes folks have tended to gather. With the stay-at-home order in place, where does that put the Seattle Police Department in regards to their actions when groups of 10 or more are gathering and not obeying the social distancing regulations that are in place now? What will a police officer do? What can a police officer do? Will you be fined? Will you be arrested? Will you be reprimanded? What is the protocol?
Our overall goal is just to educate people and ask for voluntary compliance. Um, we've seen it in some of the parks where it's just been a reminder of this is not safe for you or other people. Can you please space out and keep your social distance? And so far, people have been cooperating with that. So we have not taken any enforcement action as far as enforcing the stay-at-home, the stay home, stay healthy order. And we're grateful for that because mostly people are complying. It's an educational piece that once we remind them and remind them as to why they have been complying.
And we also have a homeless population, an unsheltered population, where being at home is not an option. In regards to the interaction with the police department and the homeless and unsheltered population, how does that work?
I'm sorry, as far as just,
The unsheltered homeless population, where they have no home
mhm,
to go to, um, and we know what the circumstances are. For I'm assuming that you do for folks who are unsheltered or homeless
mhm,
and things that they're going through. What is that interaction? What are police officers doing? What are they told to do? What is the protocol when
mhm,
in
mhm.
interacting with unsheltered and homeless folks?
We have a navigation team that works really closely with the city HSD, and they're providing some outreach and resources to those folks. It's an ongoing effort, and it's tough. It's very difficult. But we are doing outreach and providing resources to those people as we are able to and as they accept.
Okay, what does that mean, outreach? What does that look like when you say when you're confronted with the situation where you have folks who are unsheltered or homeless, they have nowhere else to go, and you say you're doing outreach. What does that mean?
It is a partnership of the Seattle Police Department with HSD and some other community partners that go out to a variety of various encampments throughout the city and offer resources such as shelter or food or um, any any resource that they have available to them that might help that person find shelter, get on their feet, even if it's just for one day, or maybe even create a longer term plan.
Well, I knew that you may be potentially busy today because of May Day and other things that are taking place. So I do appreciate you getting back and taking the time to join us. You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. It's me, Tony B. This is our special coronavirus pandemic show where we discuss the impacts of the coronavirus, COVID-19, on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Lauren, I want to give you the opportunity here for final words before we go that you might want to share with our listening audience.
First of all, thank you for having me. I again apologize that I was running late, so I accept full responsibility for that. I just got caught up in a meeting and was trying to get out of it. But the overall message that I have for the people of Seattle is just, I have seen a community come together with the police department and the fire department and other first responders like I have never seen before. And we have really risen to the occasion to fight this challenge together. I've been very impressed with everybody's cooperation and partnerships, and we truly are all in this together, and everybody is going to be impacted by this, not just short term, but long term. And I just don't even think that we have an idea of what the return to normal will look like. So we will continue to be here for you and our community. And please, if you need us, call us.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Again, my guest, Public Information Officer for the Seattle Police Department, Lauren Truscott. Lauren, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be back right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not translating the lyrics of Boogie Oogie Oogie for bored Europeans, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio.world community update on free online resources through Seattle Public Library. You can do consumer research, take a free online technology class, read newspapers from major cities, and more. There are resources for students of any age, including lifelong learning, student research, and test preparation tools. Access online resources with your library card anywhere with an internet connection at spl.org/online-resources.
On Rainier Avenue Radio.world, look for the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show. I'm Dennis Weaver, your good food guide and host, helping you to feel good and look good, and who wouldn't want some of that? All that and more from the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Stories, songs, and guests. Begin living the organic good food life, and the rest of your life just may be the best of your life. Hose up, baby, to your help.
Protegiendo a poblaciones vulnerables. No seas un transmisor del virus. Si eres un adulto joven y eres contagiado con el coronavirus, puede ser que estés bien. Incluso no podrías presentar síntomas. Pero si se lo transmitiste a tu abuela, quien a su vez se lo transmitió a tu abuelo, antes de que te des cuenta, pudiste haber eliminado una generación entera. Cuando se trata del coronavirus, tienes que pensar a quién le puedes transmitir el virus. Entonces, practica el distanciamiento social, evita las multitudes, lávate las manos, y si tienes la opción de quedarte en casa, hazlo. Haz tu parte y no seas un transmisor del virus. Este mensaje es un servicio público de Rainier Avenue Radio.world y Somali Youth and Family Club.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.